and welcome back. In the last video you might have seen that I got cut off, and that's purely because the camera died, because I started recording with the camera with only half the battery, and I thought this video would only be 10, 20, well not even 5-10 minutes long or so, but I apparently did over 20 minutes worth of footage and the camera just went, nah, we're not going any further than that. So hello, so if you've only just tuned into this video particularly, my name's Henry and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is the first video you've ever watched. And this video will be part 2 of my review of Alton Towers' Scarefest lineup. And if you've just come across this video, yes, I'm in my pants. So trigger warning, I'm in my pants. So trigger warnings, I'm in my pants. We're going to be talking about Halloween, Alton Towers, theme parks, Scarefest, that kind of thing. So we've just talked about the UK's must-do Halloween spectacular and all the family attractions, as you can all see from here. And we got to Freaky Funk Squad, and I don't know how far I got on in the first video, but I was talking about how it's just a good show, and in all fairness, their shows at Alton Towers are really good, so if you do manage to catch it or sit down and watch it, please do. So here we are, let's talk about the spine-tingling terror. Here we go. A most spine-tingling Scarefest yet, that's what Alton Towers are claiming this year, and I feel like that's what they say every fucking year. Warning, there will be swearing throughout this, I swear. You know, this isn't a family channel, this is my channel. If you wish to watch it, then you're gonna hear swearing, you know. Thing is, if you're a child or a minor, you're gonna find out about swearing at some point in your life, and we're not going to live past 2050 because of global warming, so fuck it. So they're terrifying Scaremazes this year. They're counting the Alton Towers dungeon as a Scaremaze, as I said before in the last video, and if you haven't seen the last video, I will link it down, or I will put it in, I will link it somewhere. I get annoyed when they advertise the Alton Towers dungeon as a scare maze, especially for Halloween when it's at the park all year round. Anyway, I don't stand that. I love Halloween, I love Alton Towers, I love Scarefest, but we don't stand advertising. I don't stand false advertising. I'm not here for it. We're not here for money grabbing unless there's actually something real different about London. About the Alton Towers dungeons at Halloween, like they do at London dungeons, York dungeons, Edinburgh dungeons, so on and so forth. Unless there is something much different about it this year for Halloween than there is normally all year round, what's the point of advertising it as a Halloween edition? I mean, I know it's advertised as a good thing to do for Halloween because it's spooky, but yeah, no, Alton Towers, we're not doing it today. So again, if you didn't see the last video, it's advertised as a Scarefest. As Scarefest descends on the tower, enter the Alton Towers dungeon for a little less laughing and a lot more screaming, in capital letters, screaming. Look at near the towers. Why do you say near the towers? Because near the towers could be anywhere. To me, it's at Cloud Cooker Land. Just admit it's in Cloud Cooker Land. You just don't want to name it Cloud Cooker Land because you know it's in such a dire state that you don't want anyone going near it, so whatever. Recommended for those aged 10+, which is quite disappointing because all the other dungeons around the country are all recommended for 12+, so this is disappointing that their dungeons are a little bit less, you know, intense or scary as the rest are around the fucking country, but okay. And tickets cost £8.50 per person, book in advance. I hate all this money grabbing. avoid disappointment shit, you know. It's just rude. It's peer pressure as well. That is unfair on customers. And the thing is, people who are Merlin Annual Pass holders, they should get in for free, considering the Haunted Towers dungeon is a Merlin attraction within a Merlin attraction. It just makes sense. But now the only people who get it for free is people who are Haunted Towers Annual Pass holders. Again, it's like money grabbing. They're saying pay an extra £70 for people who, if you want free access all year round. Like, oh, piss off. It'd be just cheaper to go in and pay. But in all fairness, to pay the extra £70 to be an Haunted Towers Annual Pass holder, as well as a Merlin Annual Pass holder, it's £70, so therefore per person, versus £8.50 per person. You could think that, well, £8.50 times 10 is £85. So essentially, if you go in for 10 weeks, you are saving your money and more. So essentially, if you've got the spare money, then yeah, do it. But fuck it now. But it depends how many times you want to do the dungeons. Like, I mean, not that I don't love the dungeons, but when I go down to London, I don't do them every time, for the pure fact of, once you know the story and the routine, it's not as fun or as scary, you know. I just like to do it as and when. So it depends how intensely you love these attractions, I suppose. They've got a new Scaremaze for this year. Well, it's a new but old. It's called the Attic Terror of the Towers. So, bit of park history for years and years and years and years. We at Haunted Towers, we've had a staple Scaremaze called the Terror of the Towers. It's an actual Towers legend. It's been there for way over 10 years. It's been a Scaremaze there. Prior Scarefest, you know, it was there way before even Scarefest was invented, so to speak. It was like the original Scaremaze that was at Alton Towers. It was one of the original Scaremazes that you didn't actually have to pay for. Like, years ago, there used to be like just like the free Scaremazes, and you'd have like 2 that you'd pay for and 1 you'd get for free, like, and everyone could go into the Scaremaze. It's a legendary Scaremaze, and it's been a staple, big fan favourite and enthusiast favourite for fucking years. Like, as I said about House of Monsters, it's the potato of Halloween. The potato of Halloween. Like, the bread and butter, the egg and milk, like, the potato of Scarefest and Halloween. Like, and then last year, Haunted Towers cancelled the Terror of the Towers. No one knew why. There was no given explanation. I mean, they replaced it with... It wasn't replaced with anything in the towers, like, because the actual Scaremaze sits in the towers. They've had Terror of the Towers, what's it called? Subspecies, the End Games, and Hauntville Mine Tours, all situated in the towers, all in one go. They've always had that for the last few years. And then they just got rid of Terror of Towers, no explanation why. And they said, oh, we're replacing it with Project 42, which isn't even in the towers. So it was just like, what are you doing? So they replaced it with nothing last year, but with Project 42, but in Forbidden Valley. But yeah, so they've obviously gave it rest for last year for it to return this year for the Attic Terror of the Towers. But I'm just a bit of iffy of why it's called Terror of the Towers, not the Terror of the Towers. I'm guessing it's just a grammatical mistake, or just someone's forgotten the. That's something that's annoying me. Basically, I think it's going to be back into the Terror of the Towers type old storyline, but it's called the Attic instead. So they're going to bring in a new storyline. You're going to have possibly a new route. And it may not be about vampires this time. I think it'd be really nice, you know. It'd be interesting. They're bringing back the Terror of the Towers. I think all the enthusiasts are going to go mental. And it's going to be wild. I think it will be pretty good. I think the attic to me just seems more like poltergeisty, more paranormally. I'm not saying that vampires aren't paranormal, but like it's going to be more heavily that kind of base, like more ghosty kind of shit, you know. And they called it Venture into the Attic, the Terror of the Tower. Oh, I keep putting in the Venture into the Attic, Terror of the Tower. Suitable for those aged 15 plus. Wow, I remember the days when it was 13 plus, but okay. Tickets cost £8 per person. Oof, these tickets are steep. Book in advance to avoid disappointment. I remember when Scaremazes tickets were like £5. Like my first ever Scarefest was like £5 Scaremazes ticket and £8 for a combo. Like, I remember the good days. Oh, okay, so we got that. There's no picture at all. It's just the normal logo. As you can see there, just the normal Scarefest logo. Nothing going on here. So here we go, Project 42. Project 42 invites valiant volunteers to enter the underground phalanx. I can never pronounce this. Compound to bid to outwit what awaits them inside. Suitable for those aged 15 plus, included in our Scaremazes combi ticket, £20 per person. So is the Attic Terror of the Towers not part of the combi ticket? Apparently not. Okay. So we got, because what Haunted Towers do, they have a combi ticket where you get free Scaremazes tickets for £20. It could be literally any free. It could be free of the same, free different, 2 of one and 1 of the other. It doesn't really matter. But again, I think £20 is still quite steep. I mean, for, you know, for 2 people, that's, if it's you and a partner, you and a husband, you and a wife, you and your mum, your dad, whoever, your brother, sister, that's £40 you got to pay out. And, you know, the thing is, something that's fucking stupid is that, like, when you go out places, especially for disabled people, you'd pay, your disabled person would pay their ticket for wherever it'd be either a full price adult or discounted price of whatever they have, and then your carer would either get in for a good discount or for free, and therefore you're still only paying for one person. So technically, when you go to public Scaremazes or horror attractions, that would be the same. And when it comes to doing this, you'd think it would work along the same lines as in, well, I'd pay £20 for my combi ticket and my mum or my nan or granddad or cousin would get in for free. But no, we once asked them about that and they said, no, because it's an optional thing, my carer still has to pay, which is insane. Okay, I get the fact that it's optional, but the fact is, you've got these, you've got these attractions going on for this specific event. These specific attractions for this event, technically, you're inviting guests in for this. How can you still say that's optional? If I'm here for this package of Scarefest, how is that an optional thing? Obviously, yes, it is still optional for people who do or do not want to go into the Scaremazes or aren't physically able to go into the Scaremazes. Obviously, that's optional, but that's what you're inviting me here for. Like, if I wanted to come to this theme park any other time I could, like, Not that I always have the money to, I don't, but like, this is what I'm here for. I'm not here specifically for the rides, especially because, I mean, I love the rides, but like, I could do that any other time in the fucking season. I think Alton Towers really need to sort out their... But it's not just Alton Towers, it's Merlin as a whole, all theme parks as a whole. You need to look at your accessibility and think, what more can we do, you know? Anywhere and everywhere can be more accessible. Like, I once got into a weird little argument on Twitter over Alton Towers' accessibility. I'm not too sure if he was disabled or if he was a carer or what have you, but he was talking about how Alton Towers is the most accessible theme park in the world for him, and I'm like, well, good for you, but that doesn't help me, does it? Like just because at an estimate, I don't know this guy personally, it's just a guy on Twitter. He could be in a wheelchair used for I know, he could be in just, I don't like saying just autistic, but he could have just been autistic, and for him, pain might not have been a big thing for him. We don't know, I didn't go into it, I didn't ask him anything that would be inappropriate or intrusive, because that would be rude and wrong, but like, everyone has their own different accessibility needs, everyone has their own limitations. We need to think about all of these things, and especially when it comes to things like Scarefest and Scaremazes and that, you need to know that like, disabled people want to be scared too, like disabled, autistic people, people with any type of needs, we want to be scared too, we want to have fun too, and it's not fair if it's only just the able-bodied and neurotypical people who can have that fun. It really isn't fair. Like, you need to have at least one, that's why I was saying in the last video, which I will put a link in somewhere, the scare zones were so important because they were accessible. It was just all on one ground where you could just walk through, wheel through, what have you, stand about for like half an hour if you wanted, interact with the actors, just be zoned in with the music. It doesn't really matter, it was just like the whole atmosphere of being in with the actors and scares and all that, that's what's, and you know, the fact that it was free is fantastic, you know, for people who can't afford extras, because people who are disabled can't always work and the benefits are always really shit. So when people do go out to places like Alton Towers and go especially for these events, we need our own zones. We need like an accessible spooky zone. Like, I'd love a scare maze where it's very high-key accessible for wheelchair and mobility users, you know, mobility aid users. Like, I'd love a scare zone where the sensory isn't as toxic for people with sensory problems or who are autistic or have any other kind of needs like that, or a scare zone with not a lot of flashing special effects or that aren't hot, especially for people who have epilepsy, such as myself. You know, there's so much you can do that's that could make anything more accessible. You know, even like little baby steps can make things accessible, like basic maps, really basic maps for dyslexic people, people with dyspraxia, maps with different colour backgrounds, so they're like, instead of just having just a really basic map with the writing on sort of white background, you can have it on a pink background, a yellow back, green. You get the general, just basic maps so people can read it easily. For people with dyslexia, dyspraxia, calculate, just anything which like changes your envisionment and impairment. People who are like blind, semi-blind, what have you, colourblind, you know, honestly, basic maps, basic signposts would be amazing. That's one way to make places accessible. Even signposts that you could change the backgrounds to, like for dyslexia again, you know, make buildings special ramps, so in just on paths for entrances and exits of rides and stuff for that are wide enough for larger wheelchairs, smooth enough for larger wheelchairs, you know, not as steep for people who, for both people in the wheelchairs and carers who are pushing the wheelchairs, you know, just little things that make things accessible. Like, yes, I mean, rides are difficult. We can't sit there and make a whole list. We can make a whole list of basic things like you can't go on this ride if you're pregnant, if you've got a broken arm, or if you can't hold on with 2 or more limbs, or what have you. If you can't hold on with 2 or more limbs, or what have you, you can make that basic list. But there's a lot of medical problems out there that focus around pain and management and balance and all that kind of thing. You can't sit there and list every medical condition and complication ever. It's impossible, and I get that, I understand that. So when it comes to rides, yeah, that's difficult, and you've either got to go on and risk it, or you've got to have someone who can speak for you or knows you really well or has a similar condition but not as bad. You know, that's the only way you can do it. I can't go on Wicker Man for you if you've got a low pain tolerance and say whether it's good or bad, because my pain's different to someone else, and like vibrations hurt me, like, but certain vibrations do and some vibrations don't. It's all really complicated, so I can't just sit there and go, oh yeah, I love Wicker Man, and come off and go, oh, it's great for disabled people, and when someone else could go on it and go, it almost killed me. Like, I can't speak for all disabled people, but I can speak for most, and I can speak for a lot of people who suffer from the same things as I do. But like, yeah, this is what I don't like with Scarefest, that there's no inclusivity. There's inclusivity with able-bodied people can go around and crawl and run and all that shit, and then there's inclusivity for young kids and all that, but there's no, what about us disabled people with this, you know? It's not good. It's a lot of fun if you've got to spend money, but where do we stand? Sometimes we can't, quite literally. So the next Scaremaze, and again with Project 42 in no picture at all. Other thoughts of Project 42, they're actually talking about how it's the phalanx now. If you don't know what the phalanx are, basically, once upon a story time now. Once upon a time, there used to be a ride. I thought that was going to rhyme now. Once upon a time, there used to be a ride. It wasn't scary as a slide. It was called Nemesis Subterra. No, there was a ride, indoor ride, called Nemesis Subterra. It was more like an indoor experience kind of thing, where you'd go in a lift that would take you down underground, and you get to see the original Nemesis egg, and the entire thing would show you the entire backstory of Nemesis, the roller coaster, and how it was uncovered, and all of that shit. And then eventually the egg would crack open. You'd have to sit down in these benches, the egg would crack open, and it would be an indoor drop section. And then the last part of the ride was a bit like, you'd go back in the lift, and then the lift would start shaking, and all that kind of thing, and then you'd come out, and the last bit was quite Scaremazy. Like, it was very dark. You was in like this cage tunnel thing. You'd have actors, there'd be air cannons going off. It was quite loud and noisy, and there was a lot of strobe lighting, a lot of shouting. There's a lot of actors. It was quite scary. It was, you know, there was a lot of press about it being like your worst nightmare underground, and like the most scariest ride ever to be invented and designed. But it really was. It was a great ride, and I loved it personally, like through the actual theatrical experience. But as a scary ride, it wasn't quite there. It wasn't what the fans were expecting. It wasn't what we was all wanting. But I don't know why, but I think I'm getting ill again. I only did my last video like a couple of hours ago, like Christ. But yeah, so once upon a time there was the Subterra, and the government agency that controlled and had the eggs and the Nemesis eggs were called the Flanax. And I can't remember if they were or not, but I think they brought back Project 42 last year. And I think this might be a three-parter Scaremaze attraction. So last year was a different storyline to this. As in, it was like some experiments were going on back in an abandoned lab, and now things are going wrong or something. And it was like cross between army and zombies and all that, but it weren't. It was like plants and so. Yeah, it was kind of weird. I didn't do it last year. I really wanted to, but if I go this year, I probably will go this year. And I think it's saying Project 42 invites valiant volunteers to enter the underground Phalanx complex to bid to outwit what awaits inside. So basically, I think what it is that the lab's now up and running, and the government's asking people to be volunteers to be, what do you call it, guinea pigs. So I think this might be a three-parter, and I think this might be something bigger than just a scare maze. So what I think will happen is that we'll do Project 42 this year, and then Project 42 will happen again next year. Then I think they might, and then if they do it for a fourth year, I think they do it for 3 years, and then they'll finish it. If they do go on for more than 3 years, it'd be 4 years possibly. I can't see it going on for too long, because it's one of those scare mazes that's too good to keep going. And what I think will happen is that we'll have a year or two of nothing going on in that building whatsoever, and then we'll have something Nemesis themed will pop up. It'll be like Nemesis Subterra Part 2, or like a different type of Nemesis ride, or a different type of like dark ride, or like an experience or something. I think they need to bring it back as a ride or an experience or something, you know. It can't just go wasted. It's such a great building, such a great piece of theming and just everything going on, and a lot of people walk past it not knowing what it's all about. Like, it just looks like a big shed, and it's so wasted. So here we go. The third, I've not done this scare maze ever, and I don't wish to, like, ever. Third scare maze is subspecies the end games. Here we go, that's what it looks like. It looks really fun, it looks really scary. It's basically like, what do you call it, like an apocalypse, like an alien apocalypse type thing. There's a live action scare maze, and unlike other mazes, the creatures will touch you. Suitable for those aged 15 plus, included in our scare maze combi ticket, £20 per person. So again, I've heard a lot about this one. It's one of those things that it's been going for years now. Like even last year, I thought it was going to finish last year, because purely like the quality of the scare maze started out as really good, and then it's just degraded to like nothing. Apparently, it's still really good compared to the other scare mazes, like in scariness, but like apparently it's never been as good as it has been. But you know, it depends on what your standards are, I suppose. And again, this one, basically, as it says, the actors can touch you. What they can do is that they can touch you, they can pin you against the wall, they can play with your hair, they can touch your arms, legs, anything. They won't hurt you, which is, you know, they shouldn't hurt you in any scare maze whatsoever. They won't hurt you unless you hurt them. You're not allowed to touch them, even though they're allowed to touch you, which I think is double standards, but like fair enough, because they know what they're doing, and technically you could punch them if you're given that rule. What they can do is that they will pull you out of the maze and put you into a room on your own, which to me would be the most terrifying thing, and the room would be pitch black. Some people are left in the room for like 10 seconds to 30 seconds to about 2 minutes. That's what I think is the most scary about it. I wouldn't mind doing it. It's just the fact of, if you go in with your friends or your group, you're not going to stay with your group, that's it. And once you get back into this maze, you're left on your kind of own, because the rest of your group have buggered off. Also, the maze, as far as I know, it splits off like 2 or 3 times. I'm not very sure. I know there's like an ending where you could go down one corridor and you have to run, and there's the other corridor where you have to crawl, and I'm like, I cannot do either of that. If I do it on my own, like, I'll probably need my walking stick, and like, it's something that I couldn't do, not on my own. And if all of my family were to do it, which they wouldn't, where would I leave my walking stick? Where would I put my wheelchair? Like, that's another thing with scare mazes. There's bag holdage, but there's no, like, I don't know, they don't, but the bag holdage they have is like for certain bags. They won't have anything that's too big, and I'm like, but why? Like, I mean, the thing is, you shouldn't be walking around with a fucking suitcase anyway, but they won't hold anything that's too big. Like, who are you? Like, it's just, there's nothing accessible. Like, I love the parks bits, but even though a lot of these parks all claim to be accessible, they're not. They really are not. Like, the more you think about them, the more you think deeper into this, it's just crazy. Like, for people who are wheelchair users but not, like, wheelchair bound, you need to leave your wheelchair somewhere. You might need to leave your walking stick somewhere. You might need to leave your crutches somewhere. Oh, who the hell knows? It's like, but there isn't any way to leave your stuff. I mean, at least at Rise you could put your stuff on the sideline. You could put it on the platform. You know, you just say, it's a difficult one. And again, like, these combi tickets are great. However, yeah, they don't do the combi ticket for the attic, Terror of the Towers, and I'm just like, they always do. They always have 3 main scare mazes and the one that you have to pay for on top. And again, money grabbing. It's all money fucking grabbing again. So you pay like £28 a person, plus the £5 for the kids scare maze if you want to do it. So what? That's £34. So yeah, because 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 30, okay, £33. I wasn't too far off. But yeah, it's yeah, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, yeah, £33 for all 5 scare mazes. Oh my god, plus the dungeons. So that's another £8.50. So 33. But plus the 7 will take you to 40. Oh my god, you're paying £41.50 a person if you want to do it all. I mean, we out here making, Alton Towers is just sitting there going, we out here making money, like, wow. If you're going for the day, that's plus your £55, plus food, plus whatever you pay out for journey, whether it's your car, train, bus, plus a hotel stay, or B&B, whatever it may be. It'll probably be around £100 for the evening. Around that, I suppose. Wow, they are making some serious money this year, and every year from now on. Cool Christ. And then the last Scaremaze, they've got Altonville Mine Tours. I've done this 2 or 3 times now, and I love it. I really love Altonville Mine Tours. I think it's my favourite Scaremaze I've ever done, quite possibly ever, you know, like, I do love it. I love the story of it, I love the theming, just so intense. So they say, tour the depths of the recently reopened mine tour, I'm going to do the accent, mine tours at the resort, which holds a deep, dark secret. I can't do accents for the life of me. Suitable for those aged 15 plus. Vote Trump. It doesn't say vote Trump. Including our Scaremaze combat ticket for $20 per person. I have no life. I really don't. Well, I really don't have a life. Here we go. This is why I won't make it as an actor. Ever. Like, I can't do accents for shit. So yeah, I really like Altonville Mine Tours. I think this is its 4th year. Do we still need Altonville Mine? I don't think so. Subspecies, I think it's like its 5th or 6th year. This is going on for so long. It needs to stop. It's not accessible. Disabled people can't crawl. Like, chronically ill people can't do it. Like, who are you aiming this for? We're aiming for the able-bodied people here. Like, Altonville Mine